Hi, I'm Josh J.
I'm Julie J.
And this is Double J Studio. And we are here with
Thomas Williford.
And this is the Bear Lair Bar and Grill. And the Bear Lair Bar and Grill is a Fallout 76 inspired saloon. We played a lot of 76 during the pandemic, and we spent a lot of that time hanging out in each other's camp. The pandemic and lockdown was such a bummer that we wanted our camps to be like
awesome.
Yeah, we wanted them to be like we were going for like cozy Deadwood, you know?
Cozy Deadwood. Yeah, it was actually kind of fun. It was a very social thing because we'd go, "Hey, how you doing?" And my little avatar's waving at his avatar. Something would show up, we'd kill it. Yeah. And we would talk about the fact that it was kind of sucking, being stuck at home, doing nothing.
This started out as just Beckett's bar, and that's this portion right here up to this end, and that is based off of an in-game companion that you can have at your camp.
We really were only going to do Beckett's bar, and it was kind of like, when we finished it, it was basically a boozy lemonade stand.
Built this tiny little bar that kept growing and growing, and now it takes over 40 feet in one direction, 30 feet in another. Beckett's bar is probably 8 feet long, and also it's a really kind of cool thing. He's my favorite companion in Fallout 76 is Beckett.
He's mine.
Oh,
yeah, he's awesome. But it's a small little bar, and we just kept adding more to it. Okay, remember how we said that this all started when we made Beckett's bar? Well, here's Beckett's bar right here. Cute little thing, right? And then we went insane and went all the way over. We kept eating up real estate, coming up with better ideas. Oh, by the way, see that picture right there? That was the inspiration to go even further. Right there, we just built that. You can see what we built. When we did it, we built that as the bar back, and then we kept going, putting in more, I love the stove, all of this. It just kept growing until we ran out of room. And I love the jukebox. There's the Christmas tree. And there, that thing there, oh my God. See those lights? My good friend here got those lights like 35, 40 years ago and carried them around forever. And then we finally put them up, which goes to say, keep your stuff, never throw anything out and be a hoarder. It pays off.
The pandemic was basically Fallout, except your viral load was the rad count.
Yes. And there was all this stuff still around instead of it being all burnt to a crisp. And as soon as we got enough clearance, we started getting, shots and all of that we could hang out with each other because we trusted each other.
It worked out well because there was a lot of cleanup and repairs that were needed on the garage itself. So they were both done together.
Yeah. This place had been used for storage by us and our neighbor for years.
And by storage, he means a dump. There was this glacier of old boxes, furniture. I believe there was a car.
There were several cars.
There was a couple cars occupying this entire area. And how many tips, bins did we take? 4?
I think it was 5 dumpsters.
5?
5 dumpsters total to get everything out.
So, that was absolutely massive and daunting.
Yeah.
But after a while, there's all this room, and we had this tiny little bar. So now there's no room. We've occupied every inch of this garage.
Oh, absolutely. We could not have afforded to build this if we used fresh building material. Almost every piece of wood in here is salvaged either from old barns or from a place out in Baltimore called Second Chance. And Second Chance sells building materials that have been taken from condemned or demolished buildings. They clean them up and they resell it, so you can make something out of it. We had a neighbor who needed to sell their property very quickly, and he had a ton of old building supplies sitting forgotten at the back of his lot. And the stuff had just been buried for years, but we were able to keep whatever we could carry away, and we carried away quite a lot. Every plank wall in here has been built from wood that we just dug up and cleaned up and refinished and stained. These sheets of pressed metal had been the ceiling tiles of an old building in Baltimore, I think dating back to the 1920s, but it had been condemned. Everything was being gutted and removed, and some of these metal sheets had been covered in lead paint, and they needed to be chemically removed by a professional. The others, I was able to strip myself with a blowtorch and a grinder, and I'm pretty happy with how they turned out. You can see here in the sketch that Bear Bar and Grill is scrawled over one of the arches. It made a lot more sense to split it up between the two arches, and we came up with a design, and Thomas laser cut the design onto thin sheets of plywood, and they just turned out great. This project is a study in sustainability. These alcove walls were made from old barn doors that had been buried under a lot of dirt and leaves. Stripping the paint was extremely time-consuming and labor-intensive, and required a lot of refinishing and sanding. We had a lot of help building this. The beautiful wreath that you see back behind this porthole nautical bar was made by myself and Liz Mahiones. Her and her husband Dennis came over and really pitched in. Dennis helped with sanding and getting the paint off of some of these barn doors, and Liz and I spent an afternoon weaving this together. It came together so much faster than I thought, and the results just wildly exceeded my expectations. She just did an amazing job with this. One of the crowning touches of this place is this Nuka cola clock Thomas built. He made the shape on his vacuum forming system and installed a working clock mechanism inside. The weathering turned out terrific, and the bullet holes that you see there are from a .22, so he didn't mess around. This is about as realistic as war zone weathering is going to get.
We just kept adding more to it because we kept finding cool things.
Yes.
Look at these barrels we found. Ooh, look at this table. Look at this. And yeah, it just kept growing and growing. And then we decided to branch off into more and more. And it, what do they call that? Scope creep, I think is the name of it. When the scope of your project suddenly starts getting bigger and bigger. And my recollection is we came up with this brilliant idea of just doing this. And then as it got bigger and bigger, we also ran into another problem where we had to finish it because somebody
found out I was pregnant.
Yes.
Yeah. So we had 9 months to see this through, because if it wasn't going to happen before our daughter was born, it was never going to happen. And we had already committed a lot of money and misplaced enthusiasm.
An irresponsible amount of money, honestly.
An irresponsible amount of money.
Yes, yes. Oh, then there was one other little factor, that we had not actually built the nursery in the house.
Yes.
Yeah, that.
Yeah. So we had to stop and zip that nursery up, just make a nursery. I never worked so fast in my life. I want to get back to that bar.
Yeah, I didn't want to be that I didn't want to be that dad that was like, yeah, I built a man cave out there, but my baby, she can just sleep in the room with all the boxes.
That's pretty much what happened.
That is pretty much what happened.
I wish we were exaggerating. That'd be funny.
No.
But we're not. We're not exaggerating.
These barrels came from a defunct Italian restaurant, and they were covered in smoke damage, and I spent the better part of a month refinishing them. The bar top over these barrels was a bunch of old timber that was under about a foot of dirt and leaves, and they were all completely refinished, sanded down, and stained. This is a Burroughs adding machine, and it looks straight out of Fallout. This is actually the original pocket calculator, back when pocket calculators weighed 70 pounds. If you've ever heard the writer William S. Burroughs, this was his family's invention. This shooting star is a Cold War era Christmas light from Sharpsburg, Pennsylvania. We inherited it after the county maintenance crew updated their lights after 70 years. This is the Fallout 3 Gauss rifle. This is one of 6 that I built. There will be a video on that. And these excellent, beautiful pieces of plasma cut steel were made by a friend of mine named Fletch, and they just turned out beautifully. The Brotherhood of Steel especially. And what we have here is the helmet that I made for Julie. This is the Capital Wasteland Outcasts T-45 helmet.
So under this lovely helmet that he was describing earlier, there's this, I love this. This is a Nuka Cola antique cooler that I found that just happened to be this color red. This was a failed piece of plasticware that I made, and I slapped it on there, and I told everyone I did it on purpose. We even have a bunch of stuff that we've picked up. This, in game, you can find this, and it does exist. Don't drink it. Sunset Sarsaparilla there. These were actually drinks, grenades. This stuff is official merch. I love the official merch. Thank you, Bethesda. This one up here, this is one of my favorites. I love this piece. This is the plasma rifle. The reason it has the end covered is because it doesn't leave the wall. That's never cover the ends of those toy weapons. Anyway, we found so much really cool stuff. One of my favorite pieces is this piece here. This was at a place called the Atomic Warehouse. I just love the name of the place. And it was perfect for getting Fallout stuff. When it closed, I cried. Big fat manly tears though, not nothing like that. Anyway, I restore fans, so we have lots of fans and stuff like this. These are great. These are actual civil defense, Cold War era water containers that are also your toilet. So think about that when you're thinking about being in that vault. And we just kept finding great stuff all the time, or making some of it.
That about wraps it up. Thank you so much for hanging out and taking the tour. Hope you have a happy holiday. Bye.
Bye. Okay.
One rolling.
I'm gonna scoot over.
Camera keeps rolling.
Just throw some shit out there.
Yeah, you're comfortable with crowds and cameras.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me at all.
Like you're here with 2 Morlocks. I'm so self-conscious about this.
Breathe.
Yeah.
Don't be too self-conscious. I've been scratching my nuts half the time.
You need WD-40 on your chair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Extremely noisy.
You're shifting.
Yeah, if you can
that's-
try not to.
Yeah, I do this when I'm
Can't tell that. It's not that.
she was like, yeah, and that's when I found out I was pregnant. You know,
Yeah, well, we can cut. We
You
can.
were pregnant?
I was pregnant.
Like
I'm
Junior.
I'm a miracle of science.
Yeah.
You're doing really well on the figure.
Yeah, you'd never know. I bounced right back.
Actually, that sound is not him squirming. It's his butt tightening up and it's sucking in part of the chair. And we're gonna have to put an air hose in his mouth to get him off that chair when he's done.
It's true.
Just like that.
Yep.
The
Yeah.
suction is terrific.
The suction is and the more he talks, the more air is going out. So there's more going in, and he's going to stand up, and he's going to have these four tails. Well, four tails sticking out, and we're going to have to unscrew it from him.
But you always have a seat.
He always has a seat. Yes.
Okay, so do you want to stop?
Sorry. I'm sorry. I am made of B-roll.
Okay.
I love it.